Hi everyone, and thank you for checking out my poster. My name is Marissa Dyck, and I am a PhD candidate at Ohio University, advised by Dr. Viorel Popescu. Today, I'm covering some preliminary results for a population viability analysis we are conducting for bobcats in Ohio. Some brief background on Ohio's bobcat population. While bobcats are native to Ohio, they were extirpated and became locally extinct here in the mid-1800s due to overharvesting and habitat loss. In the 1950s, after about a century of extirpation, bobcats were sighted again in Ohio, and since then, there have been increasing sightings of bobcats in the state, particularly in southeast Ohio. This apparent recovery of bobcats has sparked an interest in opening a trapping season. However, our current knowledge of Ohio's bobcat population is limited, and we have no idea what effect opening a trapping season could have on the population, nor if or how many animals the population could sustain to lose to trapping each year. Therefore, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources funded this project to assess the viability and susceptibility of Ohio's bobcats, specifically in regard to trapping. In order to do this, we needed information for Ohio's bobcats on habitat suitability, road mortality risk, and vital rates, which I'll present here. We used data from ODNR of verified bobcat sightings from 2000 to 2019 to model habitat suitability across the state. A visual representation of the results from this model are shown in Figure A in the background, and I'll share that here. This is a map of Ohio with warmer colors representing higher habitat suitability scores and cooler colors representing lower habitat suitability scores. And as you can see, most of the highly suitable habitat is found in the southeast portion of the state, which is not surprising. But this information was used to determine the carrying capacity of each cell in our model. To determine road mortality risk, we used data from roadkill bobcats collected from 2009 to 2014 and 2018 to 2020, roughly 300 animals. From this data, a previous master's student in our lab, Heidi Benson, determined that annual road mortality for bobcats was between 6% and 15%. That is to say that if there are 1,000 bobcats in Ohio, roughly 60 to 150 die due to car collisions each year. We also determined that this risk is highest for young bobcats no longer with their mothers, ages 1 to 2 years old, as opposed to adult bobcats and kittens. To determine vital rates, so the annual survival and number of kittens per female each year, we used a combination of data from the literature for other non-harvested bobcat populations in other states, as well as data from Ohio. We found that survival generally increases with age, and that the annual number of kittens for adult bobcats ranges from 1.2 to 2.1 kittens. Finally, I have been working with my advisor and collaborator, Dr. Kevin Shoemaker, to develop a robust Ohio-specific bobcat model using this data. In a moment, I will present preliminary results from our model that show population trajectories of Ohio's bobcat population over the next 20 years. We modeled trajectories using 2 different trapping regimes, as well as a no trapping reference, and ran 300 simulations for each. So you'll see 3 different graphs, 2 for each of the trapping regimes and 1 for a no trapping reference, with 300 lines representing different possible trajectories. As you can see from Figure B, without trapping, most population trajectories for bobcats in Ohio show positive growth despite the road mortality risk. Both trapping regimes reduce the number of positive trajectories, as seen in graphs C and D. Permit-based trapping specifically, which would allow trappers to buy permits for the number of bobcats they want to trap and be more selective about which they keep over the whole season, would target larger and thus older individuals more. However, quota-based trapping, otherwise termed first come, first serve, would set a limit for the total number of bobcats during a set period of time and would encourage trappers to be less selective and thus target all age classes equally. As a result of this, we see that the permit-based trapping has a slightly greater negative effect, resulting in more trajectories with declining populations than the quota-based trapping. This is because adult bobcat survival has a greater influence on the population than young bobcats or kittens. If you want to see a visualization of what these models are doing for one trajectory year by year, you can scan the QR code that I've placed here with your phone and watch a very short video showing what the model is doing. We have one more step before this model can truly represent Ohio's bobcat population, and that is to get an estimate of the starting population size. We are currently in the process of doing this using genetic data from scat samples to estimate density via capture-recapture. Here's my contact info if you'd like to know more about the project or my other research. Feel free to email me or follow me on Twitter and see some updates once we have a starting population size. I'd like to acknowledge my funding sources for this project, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, Ohio University, and the Ohio Center for Ecology and Evolutionary Studies. A special thanks to collaborators, technicians, and volunteers for without whom this work would not have been possible, specifically Susie Prangy, Christine Hansen, Mia Lewis, and Joseph Simrad. A thank you to Mike Reynolds, Katie Dennison, and Jim Hill at ODNR for their continued support of this project, and my undergraduate research collaborators, Madison Back and Ryan Brown, who spent many hours in the lab dissecting roadkill specimens and helped with the models. Thank you.